All right, now hello.
Oh, hello.
Yeah,
Welcome
we're live
back
now.
to
Good.
Orekara.
Orekara live.
That's short for 俺たちの漫言はこれからだ. Which episode are we on?
33.
Wow,
We're
isn't
so
it
far
more?
along.
Feels
No.
like it should be more.
No, I always tell you it's not more because we started out at the beginning of the year without not
Okay,
on one
so
because we didn't have a title back then.
that's true. So, this is the podcast where we talk about Weekly Shonen Jump as we read it. We try to give ratings as if we were filling out the questionnaire that is in each magazine that you buy physically. Actually, digitally as well. But you can win prizes such as a Nintendo 64 and probably some One Piece figurines that are extremely ugly.
Yeah, they show the official colors.
Yeah, that's the stuff that we're breaking. The most exciting news. My name is Maxi Hamburger, and to my left, to your right, is Percival Fine.
That's me. All right, let's get into it. What do you think of this cover page?
It's
Luffy.
Okay. It's good.
Yeah, Nico Luffy. There it is. Yeah, he's grabbing onto the Jump logo.
Yeah, that's right. It's incorporating stuff.
Yeah.
That's
he's
not
hanging onto the Jump logo and slamming the One Piece logo into our faces.
Now that you mentioned that, I think that doesn't look very good.
All right. Well,
it's also spoiling that Luffy has a new form for anybody who hasn't kept
people who are anime only. Yeah, they're gonna be like, "What's this mean?"
There's a lot of people who are tankobon only.
Oh, and that part hasn't even made it to the next volume.
I think it hasn't. And yeah, so if you walk around in a convenience store and you see this and you're like, no, I haven't caught up yet. What is that? Why is Luffy melting? His hair is made of whipped cream now.
Yeah. So mysterious. The rubber power became the whipped cream power.
Yeah. I have to mention we don't read all of the series.
That's right.
We try to read most of them. We're reading 14 out of how many is it? 18? And we don't read 18. the one-shots that get published every time. So we're not reading Mission Yozakura Family, Mashle, Undead Unluck, and Highschool Family. And as always, we have to mention that on hiatus are Hunter x Hunter and RuriDragon.
Yes, come back soon. Although there was news that Hunter x Hunter is going to have the new volume released on November 4th, and it's going to have cleaned up art because there were a lot of chapters that were just totally sketchy. So now they're going to be properly inked.
I could live with that. In fact, I'd want those sketchy chapters to be preserved.
That they're still in the magazine. People still have.
Yeah, but usually nobody manages to get a hold of the old magazines. It's really difficult.
Yeah, they're in somebody's collection. Just gotta wait for them to put it online. Anyhow, first chapter we're going to.
We're doing a different sorting this time, right?
Yeah, not by how they were in the magazine, because I don't think anyone's. Yeah, but I don't think anyone's reading it like that.
I'm doing it. I'm doing the correct way.
But anyone else, well, a majority of people reading online are going to have the online order. So
I think only in America. So international, instead, everybody is.
Really, everybody else? I figured everybody who reads it in English would see it in the order of upload instead of the.
No, only if you're in America.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because I get the English version that's not Viz.
Ah, okay.
And that the international version is following the table of contents.
All right. Either way, we're ignoring the table of contents this time, so we can present it to you with front-loading the things we have the most to say about, so we don't run out of time.
The first thing that we need to talk about is Tokyo Demon Bride story.
That's right. Here it is. Last week, they spotted the thief who was running off with the purse, who was the boss's purse. So they just took off after him. And he was shown to be a shadow man. And they're gonna catch that shadow man. He's
not really a shadow man. He has a weird jug head, which is
he's really weird looking.
It's really weird.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, this guy is gonna be a yokai thief, isn't he?
Of course. Like, what else would be the reason to keep him as a shadow person?
Exactly.
So I have a few things to say about this chapter.
Yes.
Mainly, I'm going by the screenshots that I took because this chapter again does the thing that I think is incorrect. I think it's doing things wrong. The whole series, in fact. It's doing the thing like looking at the series as if it was already an anime.
Mm-hmm.
And having stuff
anime
like
brain instead of manga brain.
Yeah, it's doing stuff like having action on panel and then voices already from a different scene speaking. And normally I would say that's not a bad thing because manga is the only medium where you can actually do this, like have a sequence of events and describing narration by maybe somebody completely different. But the problem here is that the author is using the wrong visual language. Because in this example, you see Ginka and Manaka
they're running on
following the purse snatcher. And Ginka is sliding down a rain pipe. And in that panel, you get the speech balloon of somebody saying, a jack of all trades? And normally, like, you don't see the little tip of the balloon going into anybody who's on screen.
Yeah.
So you could technically say, of course, it's not him saying that, right? Yeah. But who is saying that? And I think you need a different
the
kind of
lady talking to whoever that is.
You need a different kind of visual language for this. Like, you have to have the balloon overlap the panel borders, for instance, to make it clear that this is not something that is said inside the panel, but from somewhere else.
Yeah.
A different way to signify that somebody is speaking who's not inside the panel right now is something that Oda has started to do, and I've never seen anybody else do it besides him, so I feel like he pioneered it. Is that you have the inverted tip that's going on the inside, but on the opposite side of the balloon. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
Another way to do it is just have a very elongated tip that's going into the panel of the person who is speaking.
Yeah, that would make
Either way,
sense.
I think this is something that would work very well in the anime because you can clearly tell that it's a different voice.
Yeah, it's harder in the manga to tell.
And the sequence would be so quickly, like the switch from him sliding down and you already hear her and then it switches visually. Yeah. It would be so quickly that it doesn't really matter. But you don't take into account when it's a manga that people might linger on any given panel for maybe
any image.
2 minutes just looking at every single detail. So I feel like this is one of the things, like it happened multiple times. Like last week when they were helping out in the cafe and he was having this thought with the sea urchin like thought balloon.
Yeah.
And then in the next
had a different
panel,
problem with this chase scene.
Do you?
Yeah, so actually before this one that you wanted to show, then I had a problem with this. So look at this panel. Can you tell what's going on here?
Actually, now that you mention it, I see what he's going for, but
yes. So this panel was pretty small on the page. This is the width of one page. And I'm looking at this thinking this would have been really cool if it was a full page spread and there was more room for detail to actually do it better, because as it is, it's trying to imitate a fisheye lens look. But because there's not enough space and there's too many straight lines, it doesn't quite get it. So it looks more like, for some reason, Jinta is jumping straight while trying to chase a guy around a rounded corner. It's just strange. It's just weird paneling. It
has anime grain.
Yeah. This would be good if it was like panning on a round fisheye, like from one side to the other. But it's just sort of a weird panel.
Yes. Then this thing is also kind of pissing me off because you see in the top left corner, you see that there is laundry hanging on some kind of bar.
You're angry about the improperly drawn laundry? It wouldn't get dried fast enough like that? It's too close to the wall?
There's multiple reasons why this is completely stupid. But the main thing...
How did they get there to hang it up?
Yes. So
it's not on a balcony or anything.
Yeah. It's nowhere near a window where somebody could pull it in. That's number one. Number two is they make specific mention that this alley is extremely dirty and unsanitary and it stinks.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't put your laundry
to dry there,
here.
Then you'd be stinky all day.
The third thing that's even more important than all of these other things, like if you ever live in Tokyo or maybe in any big city, you would never hang your laundry this close to the wall because all of the walls inside the city are
they're dirty.
Like, covered in black residue from from anything, right?
Yeah, all the exhaust
dust and exhaust. Right. Yeah. You wouldn't hang it that way, and it's only there because you would think like, oh, it's just because there's this part in the next panel where Manaka lands and she's like trying to be cute, like I'm shy, I'm hiding
around her.
That's not the main reason. The main reason is she has to hide what she did.
Yeah.
And it has to be a reveal. And that's why it has to be covered by laundry.
They were thinking backwards, but didn't think hard enough.
Yes. And I mean, look at the size of these shirts. They weren't this big before.
Are those specific shirts?
It used to be shirts.
Looks like it could be sheets as well. One of them definitely a shirt. The other ones look like they could be sheets or towels. So whatever, that's fine. I don't mind the the sudden increase in fabric size. It could be someone's sheets or curtains.
Okay, but
actually,
either way,
just curtains would work well because I mean there could be just windows with curtains.
Yes, imagine if it was just windows and the curtains from inside were like
they got blown up by her magic too. That could work.
On that note, I like her drawings.
You know what? I noted down about her drawings that it's they're made to be cutesily cruder than the regular art, but it doesn't quite go as far as Rukio's drawings in Bleach.
That would be the ultimate, but I like this enough to almost say I kind of wish the whole series was just like in this style.
That's
it's an extreme position, like I know, and it's
I don't think I want that.
No, I mean it is competently drawn, but I also like this cutesy style, and it would be endearing to see somebody try really hard who kind of can't draw. Or like can't draw bodies, can only draw faces, and all of the bodies are kind of like this, but the faces are weirdly detailed. Anyways, maybe that's a stupid position, but
for any aspiring artists out there, any aspiring mangaka out there who aren't good at drawing,
the story's good enough.
If you write it well, Maxi will still like it.
See?
Yeah. So in this, she's trapping the thief who's running away. And she does some spell to transform the walls around him to form a trap. And something happens that just didn't make sense to me. Because it shows there's a fly on the wall. And I saw the fly and I was like, oh, this is going to be some Jeff Goldblum shit. And it turns out to be. But then I thought about it more. I'm like, but the fly was nearest to the concrete. and it seemed like she was turning the concrete into bars that would trap him, and not like combining him with the concrete.
Yeah, so why
Right?
does it have...
So why does it give him a fly head? It was weird.
Why is it doing two things that aren't supposed to be happening? Why is it doing the trap thing and the combine anything that's inside
here's her
at the same
explanation. Here's her explanation. And that fish thing was such body horror that I kind of don't like that she's reminding us of it. But she's showing how she made the concrete trap by transforming the walls. And there's a fly that got caught up in it. But it doesn't look like it would have gotten combined with the guy. But somehow it got combined with the guy. Not only that, apparently he got combined with the concrete to increase his mass large enough that he burst out of his jacket, as well as gaining a fly head. It's weird.
Isn't it? Well, the thing is, this is supposed to be a reference to the Jeff Goldblum.
I know.
Ginta
even says it.
Yeah. But the thing is,
it doesn't work. It doesn't
sense. Work because he doesn't look as ugly as he used to be. His previous form was scarier than this one. This one is actually more harmless than what he used to look like. So Jinta's reaction is completely warranted.
Yes.
And the reveal of like the stupid laundry stuff, like that was, I would say, pointless.
Yeah. Let me find a picture of the guy to show you, if anyone hasn't read this already. How creepy looking the dude originally is.
I noted down that this is basically Ludo narrative dissonance, that Ginta is reacting way over the top to something that's not even fucked up at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's how he originally looked. So
that's scary.
It's not even any worse. Because before he was like a weird pottery frogman, and now he's a bugman. So it's kind of a lateral. It's a lateral promotion.
Then another thing that really pissed me off is that Ginta reveals to Manaka that he and his sisters aren't blood related.
Not even the younger one. We thought the younger one was blood relative because they look more similar, but it turns out no. So are all of them possible targets for harem? Is that what they're saying? Yes, of course.
That's the conclusion. And Manaka's reaction to that. Previously, she was like, "Who's this woman?
Yeah,
I'm going to kill her because I'm supposed to marry." Yes, unnecessary woman. And then he's like, "No, this is my sister," and she's like, "Oh, okay, then it's fine." Now she finds out it's not even his real sister.
Are blood relatives. Yeah.
And this is her reaction to that. I think this was the perfect situation, the perfect
for her to get really mad
moment. Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is character inconsistency.
Remember in Doran from the first few chapters, we were trashing it for having inconsistent character writing.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that we're getting that again in this one.
Then it's doing another of those vague flashback
yet again
foreshadowing things, and this doesn't even look that bad.
Her own home life.
It's supposed
she came to Jinta's house.
Doesn't this look to you as if this was really unpleasant?
I don't know about really unpleasant, but it's just sort of presenting that she had a very rigid home life. I
don't think that's that bad.
No.
If we are supposed to insinuate that her past, her family life, is super oppressive and not pleasant to think about, then I wouldn't pick this to.
She doesn't say it was horrible. It just says it's complicated.
Complicated means she doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, to explain.
I have a feeling that if the series is doing all of the bad things it's doing so far, it won't even get to the point where it can actually show what these dumb flashbacks are supposed to be. So basically, don't do this. If you want to show a flashback, show it properly.
Yeah. No, around if it doesn't get better, then around chapter 18, then we're going to get a roll call of all these guys. So we get to know all of them at once, and all of their storylines can be finished off in a single volume.
Oh, you're the one who's
That's what'll happen.
foreshadowing.
Yeah. Anyway, beyond the foreshadowing, we also get a mission statement for it, and
Yes.
I kind of didn't like that either.
I think
Because what happens is they talk about how there's like lots of mysteries in the city now, and Jinta kind of realizes that if what Manaka said is true, and that lots of spirits are flocking to the city because of his magical blood, which I'm still like kind of doubt on, then they should solve the mysteries. But the cafe lady is the first one to say it out loud, to suggest, oh, why don't you solve the city's mysteries? Because you're pretty good at this stuff.
And you can get paid for it.
Yeah, you can make money doing that. And I didn't like that because if you remember at the beginning of the chapter, when she saw them running across the rooftops, there's a flashback to her praising his go-getterness, doing all the odd jobs, but also when they get back down after they've caught the thief, she thanks them for getting back her bag, but she also says you shouldn't do things that dangerous.
It's the other way around.
And
she says you shouldn't do dangerous things, and then she only is like, okay, I'll give you a pass because this is my bag, and then
right. Either way, like 3 pages before she's like, yeah, you guys could be Ghostbusters. She's like,
yeah,
you shouldn't do dangerous things, and it flips so quickly.
True.
It's
if anything, I would have
unnatural to have that character be the one pushing him or saying out loud that they should.
Yes, somebody else should have done it, and I think somebody else should have done it.
You know who it should have been?
The sister,
the older sister. Yeah,
because
she hasn't got a job. It would have been perfect if she was like, oh, how about you two solve the city's mysteries and I'll be your receptionist.
Yes, that would have been so good.
She could have been like the girl from Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
desk, taking all the calls. Yeah, she could have been the Janine of this series. Would have been great. But unfortunately not. Yeah. Also, I wanted to say when they after they defeat the thief and get the stolen goods back, they just let him go.
Yeah, again.
And I also didn't like that they're encountering magical criminals and they have nothing to like trap them with. The Ghostbusters at least have that little trap. These two, they just let them go, and each time Monica gives them like the not licorice recoil butt kick, and then it's just like, okay, bye.
It's because
really irresponsible.
The thing is, there is a more interesting story hidden inside that, which is Manaka has a very. You need to turn that off.
Yeah, actually, that's a notification for something being delivered, so I gotta go get that real quick. Talk for a minute while I'm out there.
Okay, you won't hear it, but I think there is a more interesting story, which is that Manaka has a very childlike, naive way of like right and wrong. This guy did something bad, we need to kill him. And Jinta is more rooted in real life, where he would be like, well, we're not vigilantes, or rather we shouldn't be vigilantes, and we're not the executive of we're not law enforcement, and that's why we can't just punish anybody who's doing something bad, even if we are the ones who witness it, we're not allowed to do that. So since we already traumatized the fish girl in a very strong way, and this guy arguably as well, I would say that Jinta considers this punishment enough, and that these guys will probably not become evil again, or at least resort to crime again. And I suppose that's his way of dealing with the situation of, I'm not a cop, so I can't do it. But since I solved the problem, I guess we can pretend that nothing has happened. And I think that would be a relatively interesting story to have two characters who have this kind of like dynamic. Somebody who's black and white going, we have to punish the bad guys, and somebody who's like, no, the law. And
yeah, that makes sense. I think that it would work out to have the two of them like that, but instead they're just one of them doesn't care. And
now that I think about it,
also doesn't do anything.
I think there is definitely already stories that do have this kind of dynamic. And maybe even
I feel like that's a common cop duo dynamic, right?
Yes.
Of the rogue one and the by the book one, and that could just be played up more if they're not like official police, if they're, you know, mercenaries or vigilantes or something.
I think I forgot what the anime is called. It was based on a light novel, I think, with illustrations by what's his name? It's not Junya Yamashita. It's I'll look it up in a bit. Was it Copcraft? It's Copcraft. Copcraft. Where a portal to a fantasy world opens and
officers get sucked in.
No, the human world suddenly has an influx of illegal immigrants from a fantasy world, and
so it's
all
kind
of them
a little bit like the reverse of Gate, then.
Yes. Yeah. So all of the place where this portal is where they build some kind of new frontier city where all of the aliens, all of the fantasy people, all of the elves, where all of them, yes, start to live. And the story is about a cop who, God damn it, I even wrote a review about it one time. It's about a cop who has to team up with a princess of some kind of elf noble family, and she's very like knight code, and we have to exert justice. And he's like, no, sometimes we don't have to do that because maybe this guy will come in handy for our investigation or something like that. And I had some complaints about that as well, but that's just to say, yes, it's just to say that one has already been done.
Tokyo Demon Bride story.
No,
oh really? It's not good.
No, it's actually extremely bad. I think it jumps the shark in the first 3 episodes because it's building up a villain who's like a playboy, he's like, wow, since I came to this regular old technology world, life has become so easy. All of the bitches here are like craving my dick, and then he's teaming up with a wizard who's like the complete opposite, who's like, wow, this world sucks. It needs to be eradicated.
No magic.
And I hate having to team up with this playboy dude. And it jumps the shark in the way that the wizard immediately offs the playboy dude he teamed up with, and instead like goes into hiding for 8 episodes, and then at the final episode he starts popping up again like, hey, I'm the villain now. And that was really poorly handled, but that's neither here nor there. That's a completely different thing. Demon Bride gets 61 points from me this week.
Really? I liked it less than you. I would have said 5 out of 10 because I felt him being pushed into being a Ghostbuster kind of felt unnatural. I also am kind of disliking that both sisters are not blood relatives. And as you said, like Mana's lack of reaction to it this time, even though last time she instantly got jealous. And also, I still just don't like that they keep doing this body horror thing with Mana's transformation magic. I don't like it.
I would say my rating would have been also in the 50s, but
you like the little drawing so much.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
I'm sure my rating will go up once the Froppy comes back. She seemed fun.
Yeah, she was the sexiest besides the big sister.
Yeah, because this is a harem manga.
You know, this series
it's an action series, but also a harem series.
If we could like completely rewrite this
Mhm.
whole sequence with the purse snatcher
Mm-hmm.
and just have sexy yokai girls coming after Jinta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Each-
that would have been
Like instead of a monster of the week, it's just a new
a
waifu
girl
of the week. And all of them are
Waifu of the
different.
week. Oh,
Yeah.
What a genre name. That's
And we're not
that's
getting
great.
that.
It should have been
It's-
waifu of the week.
Write that down.
I'm
Maybe
gonna write it down right now.
we have to do it
someday.
now.
We're going. Yeah, when we rewrite. After we rewrite Doran Dororan, we're gonna rewrite Tokyo Demon Bride. Have waifu.
We're also rewriting Akane-banashi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the next one.
Next, I think we have something we will be more pleased with because
Yes, it's One Piece.
One Piece.
I have to note something.
Look at all of them. They're so happy.
The artwork.
Mm-hmm.
This color spread
Yeah.
was a reader's request to
Oh.
redraw an older color
Interesting.
spread that only had the first 5 characters, but now
Ah.
with all of the new characters.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if there's more that are going to get this treatment.
Maybe.
It's really neat. Yeah.
So this is what it
Look at the
used to look
differences.
like, and this is what it is
Spot
now.
the differences.
There's so many. For instance, back then, Oda hid
They should have
Luffy's
flipped
other...
Sanji to be on the other side.
Why?
It's a bit weird to have his hand pushing back his hair on the original. It's just kind of holding it
right.
down in the new one. Yeah.
He's just holding his head now.
He's
But the
holding
main difference with Sanji is that his foot is not hiding
Yes.
Luffy's foot anymore.
His foot is now behind Luffy's foot. Luffy has become more dominant of a leader. He's like, no, my foot gets in front.
I think it's because Oda probably started drawing Luffy's other foot and then was,
Mhm.
I can't draw feet.
Yeah, originally it's like, damn, this takes too long drawing toes. Now he's leveled up. So he's like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm good enough to draw 2
definitely leveled up.
feet now. Yeah.
This is 20 years ago.
That's
It would
crazy.
be
20 years.
excusable.
Wow.
It would be excusable for Oda to be like,
Yeah.
I can't draw feet.
Yeah, young Oda.
One of the
I'm-
other differences is that the bear they are sitting on,
Uh-huh.
back then it only said freedom. Now it says we stand for liberty.
Ooh. It's gotten more serious.
Bear also looks better.
Yeah, the bear looks more serious too.
Anyways,
Yeah,
this is
they're-
something that I had to look up.
Yeah. Very nice. I
Um,
like that. I like that callback.
So in this chapter, the Straw Hats discuss Sabo's alleged assassination of Cobra,
Yes. Oh,
and they also discuss
see what
Luffy's
happens.
dream.
Does it though?
And then, well, they do.
It teases Luffy's dream.
They discuss it.
Yes.
We don't see it. Then we see Sabo trying to report about Im's existence, and then the world government nukes his island.
Yeah. R.I.P.
And then at the end, the Straw Hats find Bonnie inside an eddy.
Yes. Yeah. So first of all, we see on their ship.
Aribu is still there.
He's still alive.
It's really weird that they never noticed that this weird
This barrel keeps
chained
moving
up
around.
barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up with that? They just
Also,
ignore it. maybe. What if some of them, the more observant members of the crew, actually did notice? And they're just like, screw that guy, leave him in a barrel.
would be funny, but
Yeah.
you do strike on something because several members of the Straw Hats already have somewhat of an
Yeah. That's
elevated observer. What's it called? The observant haki.
Right. Mhm. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, to be able to sense things. So they should
Yes.
be able to sense them.
Zoro has it. Luffy has it. Usopp
I can
has
excuse
it.
Luffy not noticing though, because
Yes.
when he's not in action mode, he's like perpetually in dummy mode.
And I would almost say Nami doesn't need haki, but she already has such high observation powers that she would
Yes.
probably notice that this guy is just like, this is to all of the women on board, he's probably the most dangerous.
Yes.
And she's
So they would-
like, let's just leave him there.
Yeah.
Probably not coming
Yeah.
out, right? Swamp guy
just
is not
don't
coming
care
out with
about-
his
yeah.
slime, right?
Slime
It's
man.
not going to slime us.
Yeah.
Slime man.
You remember that meme?
Yes, that is Caribou's Caribou.
That's
Is
his
that
sign
your
off
signature?
on the end of all of his.
He's like, no.
At the end of
Slime
all of
Man.
his texts. Like, huh? Going to Marijoa? I can't hear them. Slime Man. Yeah, so Luffy, they're all.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to show this panel. I like this expression of Luffy
This isn't
being
him talking about
reminded.
his dream, though. This is him talking about how he wants to go find out about Sabo.
Yeah.
But Zoro convinces him, nah, just let him do his own thing. He let Ace do his own thing.
Zoro reminds him that when it was about Ace, like when they heard like Ace might be in danger, back then Luffy was like, no, Ace has his own adventures. He's like, don't you remember when you said that? And Luffy is so angry that he's being reminded of. You never see him do this kind of faces.
I was kind of hoping for even more of a reaction, though, because that's like probably the most traumatic event of his life, being reminded of it.
Point was that they didn't go after Ace just because they heard that he was in trouble, but once they heard that Ace was going to get executed, that was like, now we gotta get him.
That's true.
What do we have next?
Luffy tells them about what he really wants. What do you want in life, Luffy? And he has a little speech about what his dream is that's only achievable if he's the Pirate King. But they don't show us. They don't tell us what it is. The rest of the crew hears it, and I really like how we get reaction shots for all of them.
Yes.
Like each one of them has a bit of a different reactions. Some of them are like, "What?" Well, I like Chopper. He loves it. He's like, "Oh, that's so cool." Everyone else is kind of in disbelief.
Different reactions, which might tell us a little bit about what it's not. Because I think Jinbei's reaction was the most interesting to me, because he was like, "Wow, I didn't know you were about that. I guess this is my life now." So what do you think could Luffy's dream be? Because I think somebody described it as Luffy's dream isn't becoming Pirate King. Becoming Pirate King is just a means to fulfilling his dream.
Towards his dream, yeah.
So what do you think could his dream be?
I literally have no idea what it could be. I don't think it's going to be the same as Denji's dream, though.
No, of course not. The best.
I don't know what it could be.
The best idea that I can come up with is that he wants to abolish the world government. And I'm saying this because Luffy specifically references that only Sabo, Ace, and Shanks know about this. Right? And Sabo comes from a royal family.
Yes.
And he rejected the monarchy.
Yeah, he didn't want to be one of the nobles anymore.
Yeah, and Sabo also seemingly got killed by one of the celestial dragons. Yeah. I don't think
his first death.
Yeah, so
before he respawned.
I mean, he did say. Luffy says he told Sabo, so this dream must have come before he saw Sabo getting killed by a celestial dragon. So that must mean it can't be a result of him being like, I have a vendetta against the world government because they killed Sabo. But I would say there is a possibility that through his friendship with Sabo, he developed this kind of like, yeah, you're right, the government does suck. So if anything, it would be kind of like the ultimate.
I doubt that it's directly related to that. I think that, sure, it's possible that his dream is something that is like world changing. I want to change the world somehow. But
it has to be.
Otherwise, I don't think that it would be, because I feel like taking down the world government of this would be a means to the end rather than his end in itself.
No.
Do you think?
No. If you come from the angle that the world government is evil and oppressing people, then getting rid of the world government is the ultimate
goal. It would be something
goal.
like my dream would be to have people living in freedom.
Yes.
Right? So that would
Especially,
be it. And that would include the world government, but it also include tyrants like Doflamingo. So
yeah.
it wouldn't be only I feel like that would be limiting it in a way. It seems kind of weird to say limiting it when you're suggesting he wants to take down the entire world government. But for something, I feel I just think Luffy is he would be a really big dreamer. He seems like
Of course.
it would be something more grandiose and conceptual rather than something so concrete. Because if he sees becoming Pirate King as a means to his goal that hasn't been stated to anyone else yet, then before this, all we knew is that being Pirate King is the goal.
Go to the next page. I include something from, where is it? Chapter 507. Mm-hmm. This was the first time they met
when they first
Rayleigh
met the ex-empress of the Amazons.
Yeah, that's when Rayleigh offered to tell them what the One Piece is, because he knows what it is.
Yeah.
And Luffy was like, nah, I don't want to hear that. That would be boring. I want my own adventure.
No spoilers, Rayleigh. Jeez.
And Rayleigh asked him, like, what's the if you become Pirate King, what would that entail? And he's like, the Pirate King is the freest person in the world.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that Nika, when he appears, the drum of liberation gets beaten. Because that's the rhythm that always beat. Like, that's his heartbeat, the drum of liberation. And also, this chapter had the color spread that said, "We stand for liberation."
Yeah, that's true. But then,
so it must be something freedom related.
Yeah, but as I said, it could entail taking down the world government, like you said. But I don't think that he would link something physical like that to the dream if he's saying that being Pirate King is also not the dream, even though that's the freest person. I just don't think it would be something quite so concrete. It would be something more conceptual. But I'm not going to put forward my own guesses.
You're just saying that Luffy wouldn't be able to put a scientific label on his personal political stance, but I'm saying that Luffy has formulated something like libertarian anarchism or something, and Jinbei is like, oh shit.
Yeah, Jinbei's looking at him like, oh no, that's not my quadrant.
Yeah,
I have to go there now.
It can't be something like, for instance, I was thinking about what could Luffy, if he was trying to say something like, I want everybody to be free. If he was maybe saying something like, I want to get rid of money or something, because it has to be something extremely like shocking to people, and people being like, wow, you dream of that? That's so crazy. Only the Pirate King could achieve that. In that case, Nami wouldn't, like, that's just an example. I'm not saying that's his idea, but like Nami wouldn't say no. She would say, no, don't get rid of money. I love it. Because she's true. Like, oh, that sounds just like you.
So you can see what it's not based on the
reaction. Yes.
Yeah. It has to be something that Chopper would think is really cool as well.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. So it's really hard to like. It's because it's kind of also like,
come to think of it, because if Luffy's, I think, judging by Chopper's reaction, I think you're wrong, because if Luffy said, I want to take down the world government, Chopper is a bit of a scaredy cat. So if he heard that, he wouldn't think, that's cool. He would say, no, don't do that. That's scary. They're all going to fight us.
But if he takes down the world government, then they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, because it just seems like being the Pirate King and then taking down the world government is not something you just flip a switch on. They definitely come for you. All the admirals and the celestial dragons. They'd want to kill you. Another thing that you you did not highlight in this is that there is a shot of the Marine headquarters. And I want to say that without color, the M on their headquarters
looks like McDonald's.
McDonald's M, yeah. Yeah, it's the biggest
It's
McDonald's in the Grand Line.
It's not 100% an M. It's also
right, it's seagull wings. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
wait,
after the discussion of
wait.
Oh,
I had one more thing to complain about. That's not in the highlight, but yeah. I think it's dissatisfying that Robin first offers to read Luffy the news because she's like, there's a bunch of people who relate to you. Do you want to hear it? And he's like, I'll leave that to your discretion. She's like, I think you've had enough news for today. Because she sees that he's a little bit huffy at the moment, so that's why she's not reading him at this exact moment that we see. And then later on it says, several days later. So in that time period, she might have already told him, but we will never hear what, for instance, Bartholomew...
There's too many things being left out. Too much stuff is happening off screen.
In this moment, she was supposed to mention what Bartolomeo was doing and what Cavendish was doing, and all of the other guys in the Straw Hat Fleet. And we're not getting that. That's dissatisfying.
Unfortunate.
This was the perfect moment to get all of those news out.
Right. Yeah. No, there's no current big action that they have to take care of, so might as well just do some house cleaning of what's going on in the world.
They were already
I'm sure he's saving for them to come back some other time. So.
Yeah, but I want it now.
You can't be overeager. You can't let him know how much you want it.
At the very least, the Sabo thing isn't over yet, because this is the final thing that I was going to highlight.
Yeah.
It's
not over, you said?
Well, for now.
It looked like it's pretty over. Yeah, because
for
Sabo,
now,
it zooms in to this other island, the Lulusha island.
Basically Transylvania.
Yeah, their king is a Dracula, and I'm like, oh, wow.
His name is Seki, which is basically just
daughter.
blood.
Oh, okay. He's got a daughter with him who also presumably is a vampire. So this is One Piece Mavis. It's like, oh, are they going to come back later? It shows that they are on the side of the world government because Sabo's revolutionaries have them locked up.
Do you remember when all of the revolutionaries that I dislike were introduced? Like Morley and Limburg and... what's her name? Betty... Belo Betty. That was in Lulusia.
Oh, okay.
They were
actually a return to this place.
Yeah, they appeared there. They started the revolution. Belo Betty was waving her flag, and that made all of the citizens go, "Yeah, let's do it!" Because she has the devil fruit power of if she waves a flag, it gives people more motivation.
Right.
So that's why Sabo was on this island. Also, King Seki was at the Levely.
We still don't have the details of that.
Yeah, but we might get them next because
one thing about the Reveille I wanted to say.
Pages.
This.
I don't want to linger too long on. Well, this one is this. I put this in just to say how fucked up it is that they can just nuke.
An entire island. Nothing's left.
Back in the day, they either used a buster call, which is just having a bunch of marine
a bunch of ships come out and just they shoot at it until there's nothing left. Now they've got an airship that does it from the sky.
Is it? It could be something else. For instance, since
something
the pacifistas,
they have wings now.
Yeah,
they fly now.
Wow, they fly now.
Oh no!
So it could be pacifistas, but also I think Borsalino Kizaru, Yellow Monkey, can kind of do something similar.
That's right, because he can turn into light beams.
Yeah, lasers.
Yeah, so maybe they got his
Technically, he
power.
can do that, so you don't need
Yeah,
the
but
Buster
he
Call.
wouldn't be a giant shadow in the sky. There's a giant shadow in the sky. There's got to be like an airship or something, or
That's
like
true. They do say there's a shadow.
yeah, either an airship or like an army of pacifistas flying up there.
An
to create a
airship
shadow.
isn't out of the
Something
question
crazy.
because Ina made one.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, we've seen one before. It was going to go to the moon. So why not get one and have it aerial bombardment of places? Oh, but this eye on the corner.
That's him. The king.
That's the king. Yeah, because we get one panel of the king's silhouette. Right?
And he has
Before
those
this.
eyes.
Yes, when Sabo was calling home. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Sabo calls HQ and he tells Dragon that he did not kill Cobra. He's like, I'm not the one who assassinated Cobra. So this confirms to us that Sabo did not kill Cobra, or at least claims he doesn't. But also, I think last week I said I would have hoped that Cobra is just in hiding and that he faked his death. But Sabo thinks he's dead, so presumably Cobra has been killed off screen, which is it's very sad whenever a character gets killed off screen. It's like, oh,
I checked in with the chapters at the Levely when Vivi was there and she was meeting with Rebecca and Shirahoshi. Cobra was nowhere to be found in that entire scene. The only mention we get is Pell coming back to Vivi like, my apologies, I should have been by your side. And she's like, where's Dad? He's like, he's meeting with the 5 elders and no, sorry. He's meeting with what's his name? The king from Doflamingo's country. And Fujitora, the admiral who was in Dressrosa. He's meeting with those guys. No, he's nice. He wouldn't do that. But that's the only mention we got of where Cobra went.
Right. So we
didn't even see
clues. You look back, but there's no clues about who could have killed him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although we might get some info, because what happens next is that Julie Bonnie shows up again.
Yes. So after this, we get the scene of Sabo on this island that's run by Draculas, and then it gets nuked. And the Marine HQ are talking, and they say that country never existed. So they're completely erasing it from history, all the maps. Nobody knows what happened. Then it skips to a few days later, and the Straw Hats find this weird eddy of water that's like an orb of water coming out of the sea.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's that? Oh, it's so weird. And I forget who it was, but one of them points out, oh, it looks like there's somebody in it. So Zoro cuts the water apart. They can go to it. And Chopper jumps towards it. Or no, Chopper gets sucked by the air off the ship towards the water. And then Luffy tries to catch him, but also gets sucked up and flies towards it. And they find Bonnie. And we haven't seen her for years. It's been a long time.
Been a long time. I checked the last time we saw her was also those chapters at the Levely.
Ah, same time, huh?
You can check on the next page. This is what she pretended to be. She was the what's the word again? The queen. God damn it! It's such a difficult word.
Queen Mother.
Queen Dowager.
Oh, okay. Yes, Dowager Queen, like the mother of the current. The
widow.
The widow of the previous king. Yeah.
She pretended to be the Dowager Queen of Sorbet Kingdom. Although maybe this is her true form.
Maybe.
Because she can change her age at will. So it might be that she used to be an old woman, and then she just became young again.
Yeah. She used her fruit powers to always look young.
So she was witnessing Kuma getting tortured. Like on the top, you see that one of the celestial dragons is riding on him, and just hitting him with a hammer and stabbing him with a sword. And one of the other celestial dragons is like, "Wow, that's so fun! Haha, it's hilarious that he doesn't die." And she's looking at this and is like, I will never forgive this. You will pay for this." Next scene is where Sabo does almost exactly the same. He's with all of the other revolutionaries and it's like, "I just saw Kuma and they're just torturing him and he's not reacting like a normal human anymore." Everyone's like, "Oh, that's so fucked. Kuma is so nice. Why would you do that to him?" So we know that the revolutionaries were able to save Kuma and bring him back to Kamaboko Kingdom. Or Queendom. With Sabo's help. So he was directly involved with getting Kuma out of this situation. And we do know that Bonnie was constantly observing. So she would at least know what happened to Sabo. Or even more.
Do you think it's possible that she stayed with the revolutionaries and she was actually on that island when it got blown up, but somehow she got away? Ended
possible,
up in the
but
middle
we
of the ocean?
don't know where the Transylvania island is, so
how
it
far
might
away
be
is
in a
it from?
completely different area.
Right, could be super far away, completely unrelated. But
either way,
that's a
she
possibility.
must know what has happened, and now that she's on board with the Straw Hats,
she can tell them. She can tell them the truth.
Telling them what the truth is.
Yeah, off screen probably.
Who knows? I'm having my hopes up because otherwise she wouldn't get introduced in this way where she gets saved at the end of the chapter, and then everything is the next chapters are going to be like them talking with her, right?
Right.
I don't think they would
to learn from her. What's
that.
going on? Yeah. Fingers crossed. Because this chapter, how did you rate it?
This was my favorite. This is 82.
I would have rated it higher, except I thought, there's too much mysteries, too much teasing. So I would have said 7 out of 10 because I feel too teased.
I always say I want more. I want more, but the problem is, I also know that one chapter of One Piece always has to be 19 pages, and you can only put so much into it.
Because when you kind of zoom out a bit, you realize that every chapter of One Piece has like 3 times as much information as a chapter of any other manga.
So many characters.
And it's ridiculously long, so
you have to remember all of them.
This is giving us probably more than we deserve, but we're still like, I want more.
Yeah.
One Piece fans were like that, that meme with the pipe, and there's the little guy trying to drink from the drops coming off the side.
Yeah.
And there's the big guy drinking the huge stream. One Piece fans, we're drinking from the huge stream and being like, oh, we need more. The other manga fans are getting the little drops. They're like, oh,
this is the little droplet guy.
Yeah.
Who would that be? Black Clover?
I don't know. What? No, Black Clover actually gave us some good info, I thought.
Really?
I think Black Clover is moving along pretty well right now. Especially in comparison to the previous arcs I've read. Jujutsu Kaisen is the one giving us the little drops. We're getting the tiny droplets of Maki upgrades, while One Piece is pouring all these info dumps on us.
Anyway,
going on.
Next manga.
Yeah. Next manga we got Ginka and Runa, chapter 2.
Yes.
Dragon slaying. How did you like this chapter?
I really like this. This is
take
my
down a bad dragon. Oh.
Third favorite chapter in the whole issue.
Wow.
I would almost go as far as say this is my second favorite, but I like the second favorite a little bit more.
Okay, well, we'll get to that when we get to that.
The difference.
The premise of this chapter is that they're traveling.
The difference in the Japanese and English, since we're on that. The big text just says
more text.
So much excitement in this first new world.
Yeah, they're like going to a whole new world.
So
Do you think
summarize.
that Runa looks a little bit like Kuva Diamond here? This blue hair.
Yeah, kind
Yeah. And she grew up around ice and snow.
of.
Anyway, so they're traveling along and they're looking at all the magical animals around
Yeah.
the place. And Runa is like really amazed about all of them because
Yes.
she's only known the mountain for her whole life. And Ginka is like, yeah, whatever. They're nothing special. Let's keep going on. Until they pass by a fancy dragon. And he's like, people pay a lot for that dragon's parts. Let's go get him. So they climb up. And unfortunately for them, instead of the dragon they thought, it's actually a
Different dragon.
Grand Fisher dragon that has a transforming lure. And it transformed it to look like the valuable dragon. But he says, actually, I've been here trapping people for a long time. I'm gonna eat you now. He doesn't say anything about Ginka being a snowman. He's just like, I'm gonna eat you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's super evil. He shows off how many people he's eaten and tricked. Very bad dragon. Yeah.
Don't say bad dragon.
Runa offers, hey, how about you study magic under me? Because magic is cool and it's pathetic that you've been here just doing the same thing for hundreds of years when you could have learned magic and gone around the world. You have such a cool ability, the transforming lure, but you don't use it in any other way aside from just eating people. And the dragon is kind of mad, like, nah, I don't like that you're not scared of me. And they show why they're not scared of them, because Ryuna's magic is so powerful. Anything. Yeah. And
they kill the dragon.
Yeah, they kill it so fast.
And then it turns out that this dragon was terrorizing the area for years. And now that they've killed him, everybody's happy. And
yes,
then they
I
go,
think
wow,
I think the dragon at one point says that he's spent a long time eating hundreds and hundreds of humans.
Yes, almost.
And then they 1,000. Go and they talk to some people in the town, and they talk to a guy who's like, yeah, I'm going to try to kill a dragon because it's killed so many. Or no, he doesn't say he's going to try to kill it. He just says I'm closing up my shop.
Yeah, I have a bakery. My shop Nobody's coming into this area because of the dragon. Yeah. This dragon has taken everything from me. Even if it kills me, I'm going to fight the dragon.
Go fight it. And then Runa is like, hey, no worries. We already killed it. And they talk about how long that dragon's been there. And Ginka turns out to have found an artifact when they killed the dragon.
And it's a part of his old body.
It's a part of his body. And it's revealed that somebody's been using his body parts to
revive ancient evil.
Yes, revive evil things that are not for this era, not for their time. They're coming back because of it.
So
yeah, main plot start. We got the mission now. Collect pieces of Ginka's body.
First of all, I want to say I really like the beginning where they wander around the area, the landscape.
Just looking at the weird animals.
She's like, wow, what's this? What's this? And what is this? And this is exactly the kind of adventure that I like. Mm-hmm. Like showing an interesting landscape, showing interesting life forms.
Creatures. Yeah.
And just
getting,
going around looking at it.
Having lived... Also, this is a perfect setup for it because the two characters, one of them is really old and has regained a weird body after being disembodied in a magical battle. And the other one lived her entire life in one place. So she is now the protagonist who does not know stuff, so we can learn through her eyes about her own world. It's perfect. Doesn't even have to be an isekai. Just get someone who's lived on a mountain her whole life.
And I wanted to mention how extremely fucked up the gaping dragon is.
Yes.
Because his thing is it's not just that he loves eating people because people are delicious. It's because he loves
seeing people be scared and
frightened, despaired. He loves that. And he looks at the stuff like when people die And then he's like, oh, I'm gonna record that and memorize it
play
for
it
eternity.
back on my lure.
Yes. He recreates those situations where he killed people, and there's people like someone's
Really messed
begging
up.
for his life, like, come on, trying to barter with him, like, I can give you anything
money.
you want, please. And then the most
to comfort
fucked up
her child.
Yes, that's so fucked up. Showing a mother or maybe grandmother with a child, like, don't be scared, knowing that this is their final one. That's so fucked up. Yeah. And then you see just how many people he killed. He has his mouth, his gaping mouth, full of all of the skulls, and he's just showing those off. Like, look at all of this stuff that I've eaten. He's not even digesting that. He's keeping all of the skulls inside his mouth. That's so fucked up. And what is their reaction to it? They're just like, I think you're not being evil enough.
Yeah, you're not thinking enough. I actually kind of thought that it. I feel like one thing that's missing from this interaction, I think Ginka, as the more experienced magician, should have this reaction. I'm not sure I like Runa having it, because
I'm going to talk about that.
I want one of them to be the moral center of the team.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that.
Tell me about it. What was your thought about that?
First, I want to say, having this kind of fucked up villain as a throwaway roadblock in chapter 2.
I'm fine with that.
It's almost a waste.
I like this better than this being like an arc villain.
That's why I said almost, because I think this works really well. This is a good chapter 2, get you interested, because this is something fucked up that I thought about, and I'm just throwing it into chapter 2 and they deal with it immediately.
Yeah.
This gives me hope. More hope than, for instance, in Red Hood. Where the first few chapters were about one threat.
I like the first.
I liked it, but they spent too much time on these minor villains.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, you get someone who is some kind of Dark Souls boss.
Yeah.
Who has a lot of lore with him.
Once again, magic is cheating. You don't have to do any rolling at all. Just use your magic.
Yeah, that's the next thing I wanted to mention. This confirms that magic is based on imagination.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what I wanted to mention with the morality of this, in the final panel that I showed of this chapter, where Ginka shows one of the fragments of himself, and then he gets really dark.
Yes.
Like, he's like, I won't have anybody else wield the power that I used to have.
You think Ginka is the final boss?
Yes! Or rather,
you think it's going to be like the heroes dispersed his body years ago.
Yes,
have you played Knights of the Old Republic?
No.
Okay, never mind.
I wouldn't say that this is what I think it is, but I think it would be very interesting, especially because look how evil he looks here.
I know.
Gluna looking at him like, then he doesn't say anything, and then she's just like,
she's just happy again. Yeah.
Then she's happy again. So this is definitely something's going on.
Right.
Right? Because otherwise
more than he appears.
Yeah. Yes. And it would be
I'm kind of looking forward to that.
It would be extremely interesting to have it turn out that Ginka is actually evil.
Mm-hmm.
And Gluna, here's the thing. We only know that she is good because, like, she has a few nice reactions.
Yeah, she was nice to Ginka.
She was nice to Ginka, but everything else that we already know about her is based on her. Yeah. Is based on her relationship with Ginka. In the first chapter, her goodness was that she wanted Ginka to be happy, and she wanted to be happy as well. There's no moral dilemma in the first chapter. Now, in the second chapter,
nothing beyond that. It'll be something
in
she
the
has to
second
learn.
Chapter. When she's confronted, when she's confronted with the gaping dragon. And he's super evil. She doesn't berate him for killing people. She berates
him for not using his magic better.
Yes, for wasting his potential. She's not like killing is evil, you shouldn't do that, or like this is so fucked up, we can't let you live. She's just like, you're wasting your potential, you might as well team up with us. And when he responds with violence, that's when she kills him.
That's when she does it. Yeah.
So I would say there's reason to believe that Gluna is actually well, not good, but she, in her interactions with Ginka, that we haven't seen all of it, it might be that she's just the unwitting apprentice of somebody who's extremely evil.
Ooh.
And she just goes along with it because she doesn't know better. And she only starts to say helping people is nice after somebody thanked her for it.
And she's like, I think where I
really
think this
nice.
could go. Or where I think it could go that I would kind of like is if it turns out that Ginka was super evil in the past before he got sealed away and became Snowman. And then Ryuna, because she's lived just in the wilds for her life, then she never really developed a moral code, but she will by interacting with more people in the world. And through that, then Ginka will learn like, oh, maybe I should be a good guy after all. I'm kind of imagining that will be the direction of it. Because even though I've said before, I don't really like Ginka because he's a dumb-looking snowman. I don't want them to become enemies. I also don't want them to become villain protagonists because, look, they did it by accident, but they are helping people.
They like helping people.
They're good guys now, yeah.
And Ginka also likes money, which means he's not at the point where he would just take anything that's not his. He would pay for it because if you are a villain who cares about money,
villain,
you like money is basically the order of society. And if you care about money, that means you at least respect the order of society. If you're so evil that you would just take anything, that means or rather, if you're so evil that you don't care about money, that's when you should be worried, because that means this guy doesn't just want to
You're on
buy
another
stuff.
level. You're on a level beyond thieves. Yeah. Then
I just thought it would have been really interesting. But it would have been interesting if Ginka is actually evil and we didn't know that was
previously,
and that Gluna is also not good by heart, but only now realizes, oh, this would be nice. Let's do it.
It would be a trip about characters learning to be good guys. I'd like that because it's so common. I think we mentioned before in Dora and Dororan, we didn't like how Dora was too good at parts.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have enough scenes where he's like showing some character flaw of like being selfish or anything. He's just always like, oh, you can have this, and oh, I'll just do everything to help people. So I would like to see this kind of story where instead of having a main character who's just inherently good and does good things because that's who they are, then they sort of incidentally do good things and then learn to be a better person throughout the story.
So far, we can kind of assume that both of them are kind of assholes.
Yes.
And that's a good starting off point for somebody to become
I think we mentioned last week, you said that you like how much of assholes they are, and I said I don't want to have both main characters be assholes, but now I'm kind of coming around to it.
Yes. I've convinced you. The problem with this whole discussion is that we might be building up a better version of Ginka and Gluna that will really never happen. But it's nice to think about it. If that's the case, that would be nice. Yeah. And if it's not the case, then maybe we have to make it our own.
Yeah.
Anyways, I gave Ginka and Gluna 75 points.
Nice. Yeah, I'd also say it would be a 7. I like a lot of the ideas in it. I just, as I said, on first reading, I didn't like. I'm just mad on Ginka, and I didn't like how unreactive they were to the gaping dragon. Right. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's very badass, but also I want to see the characters react a bit more. Going on, something where we do get more reactions. Akane-banashi. So here,
in this chapter,
chapter 30, before being a rakugoka, it's time
Akane has a talk
discussion with the master,
Shizuna.
The other master.
Yeah, about her dad's expulsion from the school. and that her dad would have had the possibility to become a Shinuchi if his loyalty for Shiguma wasn't this strong. Mm-hmm. He could have pursued his dream in a different school.
He just loved being an apprentice of Shiguma so much. And it had a flashback, and I did remember this, that one of the posters that he made to encourage himself when he was practicing was "Make my master proud."
Yeah.
So, good little callback.
Well, you call it callback, I'll call it retconning. This whole chapter
feels there from the beginning.
This whole chapter feels like it's a retconning in response to our criticisms about stuff like, why did the dad not continue if he's that good? So it had to explain something that was either left out on purpose, which I doubt, or rather it was left out and now it developed into something different. Yeah. Because sometimes that happens. While you start to draw your series, sometimes you get a different idea and are like, oh, this would be way better. And I
feel like this probably winds up. I don't think it's right, and I think it winds up. Because I'm sure that once you start out with the premise of she's trying to get to this position because the one boss killed her dad, then you have to have ideas already.
No,
you can't just leave that as a blank page until later.
I think it's a bad retcon because it kind of diminishes his character to being a fanboy rather than someone who's extremely passionate.
Yeah.
Yes,
I get what you mean.
Like previously, it was shown that he's so good at rakugo and he's so devoted and passionate about it.
But we already saw that was recontextualized because it was viewed as that through the eyes of his daughter.
I think that's not as strong as making the dad just be super devoted about the art form itself.
Yeah.
And we haven't had any like verbal clues about his devotion to Shiguma.
Yeah, other than that one poster.
And it still doesn't really answer why Shiguma can get overridden by Isho.
Right, yeah. If they're the four kings, then how come one can just say, your students are out too?
Yes, so...
It's so unfair.
It leaves out the one thing that I keep harping on about, which is how can this whole situation come to be when everybody except Isho is against it?
Yeah.
And if the dad is so devoted to Shiguma, why doesn't he stick with Shiguma and like says, I don't care what Isho says, I can.
Yeah.
Like, why can't they ignore his order? Why does Isho Arakawa have the authority to do this when they are supposedly on the same level? Why are Well, that's why I think this is a bad retcon, because it kind of makes this flaw more obvious. And it also makes the dad kind of a worse character. Shiguma says the dad had what it takes to become a Shin-uchi in a different school.
Right, if he wanted to.
If he wanted to, which means he could have pursued his dream and made a living for his family. And instead he chose to completely give up. He chose concrete.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a sore point in the story, because if he's so devoted to the art form itself, he would stick with it, because his goal was.
What if he's so devoted to the art form that he's like, my death will motivate the next generation to do greater things than I ever could accomplish myself?
That would only work if Isho Arakawa's decision to expel the whole generation was explicitly already explained to be a PR move.
Yeah.
Which I proposed as a possibility, and if that had been the explanation, I wouldn't be against it, because then I would be like, oh, he's taking the outside world into account, and he had to sacrifice them, even though he maybe under normal circumstances,
he would have thought, oh, they're okay.
Yeah, if this were still the 1880s, maybe he would have been like, let's give them 2 more years in the oven.
Right.
And see if they come out right. But since we live in a society, he had to sacrifice them to make a statement about the art form itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that would have been interesting, but that's not the case, and because that's just the
or it's just unsaid so far.
No, it's the headcanon inside our minds.
Mm.
Inside our minds' eyes.
Yes.
It's the better version of Akane that we are writing, and that's why I don't think these things don't line up. So the dad wouldn't just let himself be a sacrifice just to feed the next generation, because that's a completely if that were the case. If that were the case, by the way, he would have trained Akane himself.
You're right.
So far,
he would have taken
you
more.
Never see his comments on her rakugo.
True.
Which is another sore point in the story.
Because it seems like from the second part of this chapter, I don't think we're going to get any more explanation of that next time. It's going to move on from this. Because after that, then Akane talks to her classmates, and the one guy who's like
singular.
Yeah,
it's her former bully.
This guy. Yes, the guy who was mean to her when they were younger, but now seems to be set up like a possible love interest.
Yeah, I hate it.
She is kind of upset that he doesn't act more impressed when she tells him that she won. He's just like, oh, okay, good job. And she's kind of disappointed by that.
Wasn't it the other way around? Wasn't it the other way around?
I don't think so. I think it was that he was just like, good job. And she's like, give me a more of a reaction.
But in this panel that I highlighted, because I thought this was more important, she acts really nonchalant about it. Like, I won. Well, guess what?
I think it's I'm looking at it right now. She acted nonchalantly about it, like, I won. And he was like, oh, okay, good job. And then she has a panel where she says, that's your reaction? Do better. And he's like, oh, well, I just assumed you were going to win. So it's
okay, because I was going to say that normally I like it when the feats of someone
motivate casually.
Somebody else to inspire them. Right. Because this is the thing that he does. He looks at her victory and he's like, oh, I have to become a better judo. Better.
Right. I read that and I was like, oh, is this about to become a better sports manga than Blue Box?
I normally like these. I normally like these parts, and I kind of want a judo series, but I don't want it to be the former bully. Right. I don't like him. I don't like her her relationship with him. And then the final thing that happens in this chapter is other classmates show up and
who I don't remember at all.
Look at these. Look at
and
this.
They're really shocked that she's popular online. Yeah.
And I don't know who says what the heck. I was assuming it's Akane herself.
Yeah, like in Tokyo Demon Bride story, there's no indicator of who's speaking this.
Right, but I was surprised by how this is treated, because you see the tweet itself is from Monthly Rakugo, so the established Rakugo news outlet writes a completely neutral, matter-of-fact tweet about something that has happened in the world of Rakugo.
This is doing numbers.
It's doing numbers, and Akane reacts to it as if, like, the tweet said, "Look at this fucking bitch doing some kind of child Rakugo," or maybe if it was a normal hate tweet, not just a bad article.
This is the wrong kind of Rakugo. I don't like it. Something like that.
Yeah, but it's not even alluding to maybe. Because the reporter of this magazine was also the one who listened in on the talk, so she could have reacted like, "What the heck?" if he had written something.
He recorded the talk with Isho. That would have been shocking for her, but her own image on it doesn't seem to be too too shocking. Yeah, you
Yeah,
wonder
so-
why she's shocked.
It's really surprising how this is the cliffhanger
Yeah,
when it's something that should have been expected,
you're right. Yeah.
right? The only thing that I can imagine, like that they're going to get shocked by is the quote tweets, because 380,
Yeah.
somebody's going to say something bad.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of them are just horny teenage boys talking about how she looks.
Right.
And she's gonna be like, no, I didn't want this kind of attention. I'm even wearing modest clothes on stage. I was gonna say that Karashi would be happy about this. He's probably mad that it's Akane getting all those likes and not himself. Because he was all into combining the traditional art of rakugo with modern society.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was an okay chapter.
My rating is 59. I'm
59.
disappointed.
Oh,
I
man.
found so many sore points in the story.
Mhm.
Nothing exciting happened. And the stuff that's kind of exciting is bad. So
You know what? I rated it higher than that. I would have given it a 7 out of 10 because
it's too high.
even though this reaction from her is kind of a little bit off, I do like that it's actually making use of modern stuff like social media, because I think that's one thing I've always thought would have made this story a bit more interesting, is combining
Yes.
this traditional art
Yes.
with modern society. They don't do that enough. So I'm very pleased that it's going in the direction, even though I've now taken all of the criticisms into account of all this stuff that might not work. I really
Downgraded.
don't think this retcon for the dead is as bad as you think. But yeah.
No, it is.
Anyway, going on. Tell me about
Next manga.
Blue
I'm going
Box.
to
What's going on in
I'm
Blue
going
Box?
to make this relatively quick. You don't really have
Oh,
to
by the way,
say anything
this
about
this is chapter 69.
it. Nice. So in this chapter, Ayame, the little sister of Karen,
The new
who
villain.
is, I thought it was the new villain. It's kind of like who she is going to turn into, because in this chapter she pokes her nose into Hina's business
Oh.
instead of Chinatsu Senpai's business, and then professes her new allyship to Hina in order to help Hina win Taiki's heart. It starts off
So
with
she's not a rival. She's a wingman.
Yes. It starts off with a situation that I found way more interesting than it probably is. It's Ayame and Karen being at home. She's like, hey, do you know if Chinatsu likes anybody? And since the sister doesn't reply immediately, she immediately reads like, oh, that must mean yes, because if you ever stay quiet for this like millisecond, I know I know 100% that you're good, that you're trying to
You're thinking
lie
it
to
must
me.
be a yes.
Yes. So then she's almost guessing, could it be Taiki? And since Karen has the nuclear option, she knows that Chinatsu likes Taiki and that Taiki loves Chinatsu Senpai. She has to think like normally the background would go black and she would sweat profusely and she would look at her sister as if it was like L from Death Note. So she comes up with the idea of saying, "Oh, well, it's some guy in the basketball team. He's not in Japan right now. He's in Japan. He's in America, so you wouldn't know him." And then immediately next day, hey, this is a student who came back from America.
Abroad.
He's really good at basketball and he looks really good and he's also tall. And Ayame walks by. She just sees him.
It's like, that's gotta be him.
Yeah, and it's such a perfect situation, and it completely diffuses the danger, which was extremely high, by the way. But it's so funny how she describes like some fantasy person, kind of like when you say, "Oh, it was like, oh, he's a robber. He was wearing a black item, and he had a beard, and he was wearing prisoner clothes."
That was in Witch Watch, right?
And he also had. Oh, right, it happens in Witch Watch.
Yeah, that's great.
He had a bag on his back,
funny.
and it had a big dollar sign on it.
Yeah.
And then she sees the guy, and it's like, oh, it's him. So that diffuses the situation. She's like, oh, he's perfect for Chinatsu Senpai. I'm rooting for her. Then she witnesses Hina talk with Taiki, and look at this super minor reaction. Hina laughs at something that Taiki says. She looks at Hina. Hina realizes she's being watched, and then she immediately looks
She's like I can't
down.
Look like I'm laughing now.
Yes. Ayame immediately realizes from this, because she has incredibly high emotional EQ. What's it called? EQ. She knows EQ. She has such a high EQ that she immediately figures out, just from these small, minute details, that Hina must love Taiki. She knows immediately. Then she confronts Hina, goes like, hey, do you happen to like this asshole? And she's like, shit, how do you know? Well, it's true. And she explains the whole situation, like she already confessed to him, and then she, since they're childhood friends, and she knows that he likes somebody else, he never said he's going to go for it. And Ayame at first is extremely pissed. She's like, wow, what an asshole. I would kill him. I would immediately issue Arakawa him. And then Hina's like, no, but you see, I enjoy liking Taiki. And this is like, oh, wait, that's really pure. And that's what gets her over on her side, where she's like, okay, I'm going to help you seal the deal. And that's such a curveball, when I thought that...
You thought she would be the opponent, but no, she's...
Yes, I thought that maybe seeing the stuff that's going on with Taiki, like, for instance, Hina loving him, and then she's like, oh, this girl likes him, there must be something to him. And then she finds out that she also likes him, then she's kind of trying to get in the way. And since she's so aggressive, that she would like completely bring the balance of the love triangle into chaos. But this is such a curveball that she's now teaming up.
Totally different.
I kind of like this.
Yeah, it's a good development.
Something bad happened at the end.
Oh no! What happened?
Taiki walks back home. Chinatsu senpai notices him and calls him by the nickname that Ayame calls him. Which is Inota. And he's like, no, don't call me that. It's a shitty nickname. And she's like, well, I heard it. I thought it was funny. He's like, no, don't. And then wouldn't you hate it if I just called you Chinatsu? And she's like, no, I wouldn't mind. I would like that. And he's like, what, really? And she's like, nah, just kidding. And then she goes into the house and leaves him hanging. And
you should have called her Tony's Pizza.
Where's that coming from?
It was one of those Reddit things. I forget if it was one of those.
Oh yeah. Okay, no,
it was
I remember.
Some girl getting really mad at her boyfriend because he was like, "Oh, I want to make up a nickname for you," and he just looked in their fridge and saw that they had like a frozen pizza, and he started calling her Tony's Pizza, and she's like, "He's been calling me Tony's Pizza for months, and I hate it. Should I dump him?"
Yeah. Okay. So that's just the final thing that I didn't like, because it's Chinatsu being flirty, and then her taking it back immediately and leaving Taiki hanging. That's such a dick move, and also about something that would have normally pushed their relationship a little bit further and made progress. That would have been nice for her to be like, yeah, you can call me Chi. We're living in the same house. We're kind of close. We eloped.
Never forget that part, that they are living in the same house.
You can call me Chi if you want, but nah. It's Chinatsu senpai. I rated this 69 points.
Nice, perfect for this chapter number. Going on.
All right, it's so perfect.
Yeah.
Next chapter is Hero Academia.
Hero Academia. Oh, look at him go! His body, it's changing so much. Yeah, this is chapter
366. Full moon.
Yeah.
So in this chapter, Shigaraki transforms into a defensive-oriented hand Hulk.
He gets his third. He's in his third phase now.
Yeah, and he just trashes everybody. And then Mirio.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it, I think we've talked before. Last week, we were like saying about how he was doing really well against them, but then he acts really hurt by Mirko, even though you'd think she'd have the weakest attacks compared to everyone else going at him.
That's the thing.
It's like she was tapping the magic pixel that everyone else had gotten him down to. Now he's like, the heroes bested that form, so now I gotta transform again.
I feel bad about this because on the first page the narration says, first of all, it confirms that all of this growth, this slurping stuff, that was really just his body trying to
finding its own form.
And it's not the thing that I wanted it to be, which is the quirks.
It's the thing I said it was. Yeah. It's because his body got modified. It has nothing to do with the quirks inside him, since they would have been sealed as well by Eraser's power.
So, I don't like that, but also I don't like that it says that his body realized that this was a failure and it had to adapt to something else.
Yeah, that's kind of nonsensical. I don't think
nonsense because
I don't think that's how it works.
He was killing it before.
Yeah.
He at first he took a major blow from Bakugo, and that kind of made his stamina not regenerate as quickly anymore.
Yeah, when it says the heroes bested that form, I was like, did they really? Because it looked like they didn't. But then they try again. They're like, oh, phase 3. Phase 3, let's go again. And they all go at him. And he just KOs all of them instantly. So this form is confirmed to hit even harder than his previous form.
And
here it is. This is what he looks like. And I still think that all the faces on his hand, the warp faces, I think that those are his dead family that he accidentally with his original power, which made me think he's doing the finger family thing. Have you ever seen that cartoon?
I don't know what that is, but it's stupid.
There's an old kids song which is it's for counting on your fingers, and it became a bit of a meme with like some Cocomelon doing a song of it. It's called the Finger Family song.
Cocomelon?
Yeah, you don't know Cocomelon? Cocomelon was so big.
No, Cocomelon.
They teach kids so much.
Must be defeated.
They got congratulated, just like T-Series did. But yeah, he transforms. He transforms, and he now has finger armor. And
he transforms into Cocomelon.
Yeah, he transforms into Cocomelon, kicks everyone's ass, and
as a sign that Cocomelon
the only one who is not KO'd is Vermilion, because
he can. Yeah, he's immaterial if he wants.
Right, you literally cannot hit him, but he's like crying and huffing because all his friends got beat up.
And because you can't hit him, that also means he can't really do that much.
Yeah.
And he finds one way to defeat Shigaraki.
And I did not understand how this works at all. Because Shigaraki is rushing at him, about to hit him.
Okay, if you don't get it, I'll explain it to you.
Okay, explain it to me, because he turns around and it just shows him his butt. And Shigaraki stops, like, huh? And that's actually enough time for Deku to get there.
So
how does this work?
Mirio just had to stall him for 2 seconds because they needed to lower the shield in order to get Deku in. So 2 seconds, that's enough. You don't have to do anything. You just have to distract him for 2 seconds. And in order to do that, he's doing the thing that defeated Kaguya, the final boss in Naruto, which is do something completely unexpected. That's kind of stupid, but so stupid that it makes you pause and go like,
what is that?
Yeah, what is that? And so since he can't do the what's it called in Naruto? The the jutsu where he turns into naked people. The sexy
jutsu. Yeah, I don't know Japanese.
That was really nice because he was doing the BL thing for Kaguya. It was like, nice.
Yeah.
Young boy.
Female villain.
She's Fujo. I like that.
Kaguya Fujo confirmed.
I like that, but here it's doing a slightly lamer. Well, slightly. It's a
much lamer. It's floor butt. It's not even wall butt.
It's just showing him his big butt and saying something stupid, and that pauses him for such a short amount of time that he's like.
I feel like a guy like Shigaraki, it would not pause him at all.
Well, yeah, but at the same time,
I feel like he would have just smacked that ass and sent him flying. I don't think this should have worked.
He would have used one of his hands to just smack it.
Yeah, exactly. See if it jiggles. And then Deku gets back. Hooray! That somehow Tintin's butt was enough to pause Shigaraki, enough for Deku to return. Because we'd been wondering, when's he gonna get back? And also we'd been wondering, what were those black dots he saw on the horizon when he was flying over here?
It was Shigaraki.
It was not shown.
It was Shigaraki.
Really? You think that's what he saw from all that distance?
It was just, what's the ominous stuff that's going on over there? It's Shigaraki.
All right. Well, that's what it is. And then he does one smash on him to show that he's the only person who's strong enough to knock him over.
Yeah, it looks like he's not as hulkish anymore.
Yeah, well, so, that's because
he smashed the Hulk out of him?
They watched that. What's his name? The guy that criticized Matthew Matosis about Dark Souls 2. H-Bomber guy. Shigaraki read that H-Bomber guy thing about how the best bosses are the ones that have the same power as you. It's just a reverse of you walking towards you. So he's becoming more like Deku to fight him, to be a better boss.
Fine. Yeah. So I think, isn't that all? Yeah, that's all.
That's all. Yeah, that's all that happens.
About this chapter was fine.
Yeah.
Was it fine? It was good. Let's say it was good. 72.
I was not as happy with it as you were. I would have said 6 out of 10 because I was very pleased to see Deku is finally here. Wow, he gave him such a
progress.
Big hit. And
finally,
then I was like, I don't like that Deku was able to get that hit in because Mirio showed his butt.
But that's what it all led up to, because everybody was like, we have to buy time for Deku to show up.
Mirio's butt is the climax of their entire battle where they're holding him back.
I would say they had attacks that should be stronger than anything that Deku can do.
Exactly.
Especially
another thing. One more thing that I wanted to say is that during the whole fight, Best Jeanist keeps flying around trying to do stuff and totally failing because Shigaraki is too strong. And you can see that he's starting to actually run out of fiber because his clothes are like degenerating throughout it. So I thought, oh my god, we're gonna get a face reveal for Best Jeanist, but we don't.
No, he's going to show his dick before he's going to show his face.
Yeah.
He's going to show his butt.
And my expectation for next week is we are not going to get a continuation of this at all.
Yep.
I think next week we're going to get a catch-up on the traditional girl-on-girl battle.
Yep.
So put that in writing next week. That's what we're going to get. Anyway, next manga.
Next, what's next?
The Elusive Samurai, chapter 78.
This is my second favorite chapter in the whole issue.
Yeah, this is a good chapter. I liked it.
So in this chapter,
Ayako fights the nerdy guy who has his
nerdy.
On
that's
his
the 3D PD general. Then at the same
very
time,
specific type.
Mochizuki fights the surfer playboy general, and Tokiyuki challenges Shibukawa. That's what happens in this chapter.
Is about to begin. Tokiyuki's battle, or I guess it is just beginning. They exchange a few blows.
I really liked that the otaku guy, the 3D.
I love that guy. He's great.
I love him too. He's on the Sigma grind set. His thing is he imagines the perfect waifu.
He has a thought about what if he got a real woman.
It's so funny that he's
like real girls.
I have no interest in real women, and then you see a real woman and she's really ugly. And you can
she's weighing him down. She's not lifting him up like his waifu.
Yeah, you can taste how he in those speech panels just says 3D PD.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so direct and almost explicit. It's delicious. Delectable.
And then as he's talking to Ayako during their fight, he keeps learning things. He's like, yes. This would also be a good trait for an OC.
That's the thing. He goes around, and every time he finds something that's an endearing trait, he's like, wow, if I put this into my OC, then
more powerful.
my OC will become even more powerful. Yes. And that's his Sigma grind set. He imagines the perfect waifu and then does everything with the thought of, what if I can't please her? I have to please the perfect waifu who exists in my mind's eye. That's what drives him to excellence, and that's what everybody should do. And look at what he's doing. He's sitting in a somewhat asymmetrical way.
You're right. He's got the boss sit.
He's way more boss than Gojo Sensei could ever dream about.
Yeah. I think I told you before about how in the game Skyrim, there's the Jarls who are the bosses of each city, and they have a special sit animation that's asymmetrical. That's like this. Unlike normal characters, they sit normally. Then the bosses have a special animation for it.
I kind of feel bad about
he's got that going on.
Remembering this guy's name, because I want to say he's like he's the role model that we
I always write him down as the nerd, but yes, he is us.
If you want to become the coolest guy in the world, you don't have to follow
if you want to become the coolest guy at the manga shop, follow this guy's advice.
No, this is for any person alive. If you want to become cooler than Gojo Sensei, don't watch YouTube videos about why Gojo Sensei is the coolest motherfucker in Jujutsu Kaisen, because this guy is way above Gojo Sensei.
He has practical experience that you can learn from. Yes. No need to have a literal superpower.
Then
meanwhile, the surfer guy, what's his name?
Surfer guy.
Ichikawa?
I forgot.
Iwamatsu. Iwamatsu is his name. Yeah.
Okay.
Iwamatsu is fighting what's his name? Mochizuki.
Yes, Mochizuki. And his backstory about his sword, why it's so big and sharp, is just...
That was cool. I wonder if that's real from history.
Probably. His explanation is, do you remember Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, right?
Unlockable weapons in that game? Maybe that's what they can do for the sequel. Make you play and fight surfer dudes.
Wouldn't need a sequel to that game. That game doesn't need a sequel. But I really liked on the next page that this whole explanation for, back then we got an influx of so many new technology from the mainland because we didn't have contact with them. And they brought so much stuff, and after we beat them, we figured out that there's a lot of cool stuff we can do. So we try out, in this day and age, in 1335, they were trying out so much stuff that it was basically a shonen manga. And that's kind of stupid.
Perfect setting for a shonen manga.
Yes, it's stupid to point that out in your own manga, to be like, this era, it's kind of like a manga. By the way, this is a shonen manga. But at the same time, if you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, that's what makes Elusive Samurai cool, because it really is the perfect...
It's the era that was most like manga. They already talked before about the
Basara.
I forgot what they're called. Yeah, the Basara, who were the really flashy guys who they always had to be fashionable.
Yeah,
but they were also tough warriors. Yeah, that's great. I like that sort of stuff.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And then the thing that Tokiyuki does with Shibukawa,
it's so bad.
Yeah,
they're taunting him. I think last time I was like, this is a really bad idea to go and 2v1 him that gives him a power up, and it's highly likely that the power up he gets from that is more than the advantage you gain from 2v1ing him. And now they're like, okay, let's taunt him too.
What I have to say about this, like, even if this is completely stupid as a tactic, right? It's worth it.
And this is now when everyone stops to watch them. The entire battlefield, they're like, let's watch these guys fight.
It's worth it because Tokiyuki doing a scum thing, like being a scum shota, that's fan service to certain people.
That's true.
Like, certain people are going like, gochisousama deshita, and eat it up. They're like, thank you. Thank you. I want Tokiyuki-sama to call me also a cowardly pig and sit on me.
Hey, and it's shown that the enemy team's tactical twink, Shiba, is also up to something. He doesn't say what he's up to, but he is He
He
says he's putting some
continues.
plan into motion.
Everybody else watches, but he continues his work. So that's
Yes.
also good. So that's why I get, like, with all of these nice things, like with the Sigma Grindset dude and with the explanation that this era was a shonen manga and with Tokiyuki doing fan service, that's catapulting this Elusive Samurai chapter to 78 points, the second favorite of this
Very good.
issue.
Yeah, very high. Yeah,
I
I like it. I would have said, since I don't give fractions of a point, I said 7 out of 10. I liked it pretty well, but there are other things I liked more. So pretty nice. Going on.
Next manga is Sugoi.
Sugoi, yeah, it's a super smartphone. So Sugoi.
I looked at this page and I thought I was reading comic
alien.
No.
That's what I thought. As soon as I saw these people, and I was like, what are these aliens area guys doing in my super smartphone?
Yes, that was my second thought. First I was like, is this comic Kairakuten? And then I realized, oh, this is Jump, so it must be Aliens area. But then,
yes,
no, wait, this art style is completely different from Aliens area. It's super smartphone.
This is chapter 19, raise stylistic standards, and there's introduction of new characters with new abilities that we'd never seen before.
So in this chapter, Q's autistic karaoke persuades Rei to trust
wins
him.
Over.
So
he's so bad.
Then
but
Q reveals his musings about the super smartphone system not being the work of an omnipotent, omniscient, benevolent god, because it has flaws. And then two figures that you see here. Oh wait, you already
here's the two.
These two figures kind of confirm this to the reader because they observe the situation and comment on it.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% sure that I've seen something like this in an erotic manga. Some hentai had this kind of like small, gross dude with a big boobed
I'm sure
high school girl.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but standing in this exact way,
and she's to find out.
Maybe it's a reference. And look at her silhouette. Like, this manga artist, he's been doing something behind our backs. I'm telling you what.
Something you'll have to look up in a different magazine.
Yes.
Anyway, also, that could be in a different magazine. We get some internal thoughts from Rei. And remember when we got some internal thoughts from Q?
Yeah.
And it showed the card becoming transparent over his crotch while he's totally naked. So now we get the silhouette of Rei's body as well when she's thinking.
You know what? I count this as a sign of cancellation, or at least desperation.
Fan service. Gotta make people like it.
Yes, show the naked, attractive girl
in
order to make people like you.
Yeah, I said, I guess it's fair because it showed Q and Zenitro naked before too. So
yeah.
I also noted down music producer. She says she thought her music producer was scary and didn't make a contract. I'm like, yeah, that's realistic.
That's realistic, yeah.
Yeah, sadly realistic. So Q tries to sing to get her on his side, but he also reveals that he has literally never sung before. And in preparation, he read music theory
on Wikipedia.
Yes, but he's never actually practiced singing, so he still sucks.
I want to say I dislike it when characters can't sing and it goes boy. I really dislike that. I hate seeing that. At the same time,
the sound effect for bad singing be?
Yes, that is the exact.
So this is just the fault you have with the Japanese language. Their onomatopoeia for bad singing. Bleh.
I think I just don't like seeing it. I don't know what it is. I think it's effective, and I can't think of a better way to make a shorthand for somebody can sing. But making them look like this, because this is this kind of facial expression. I've seen this a lot of times. And I don't like this. So that's why I don't like seeing this.
Yeah. And
But
to be honest, this part is not what works to win her over. What works to win her over is that then she sings, and then she feels more confident singing with him as an audience member.
because he was so bad, she's like, I might as well.
No, I thought it's because he's honest. He was honest about trying to sing even though he's never done it before. And then he honestly sits to listen to her properly. So she likes him.
That's one way to look at it.
Another thing that I thought was kind of interesting. You see the phones on the table; they all have the ... because they also are not impressed with Q's singing.
They hate it.
Yeah, one thing I thought was interesting is that it shows them chatting, and the other two phones are very judgmental of Kimi's name.
They have different personalities.
Yes, they have different personalities, and also, as I've said before, that Kimi claimed in the first chapter that they do not have full sentience.
Yes, of course not.
Like, but then why would they chat to each other like this if they're not actually sentient?
No, of course.
Imitative. They're lying, these phones.
The one thing besides the initial hentai setup
that you liked
of this chapter was that Q comes out with an explanation that was in plain sight all along, but I never thought about this because the way the points are distributed is going by base 6 mathematical counting. And normally you wouldn't think about it, but he noticed that. And then he figured out that sometimes it's not doing that. And if it's not doing that, that's kind of a flaw in the system and it must be arbitrary. Yes. So it can't be set up by some kind of power force in the universe. It has to be someone conscious. And then the two characters who were shown as like weird alien observers confirm it. Like, oh, you figured it out.
Figured it out. Yeah.
And they still say that Zenichiro is the one who should win. So they aren't. They're biased,
unfair.
And they favor the evil guy. So that kind of is interesting because he's so evil. He's doing so many bad things.
Yeah, he's literally killing people.
There must be something that he knows what this whole system is for, and what they know what the system is for, but we don't know it. So I'm interested now in finding out
at the end.
Yes, it might be stupid as a solution, but I'm interested in it. So that's why I'm not completely.
I would say that I did also really like that after Q is shown talking about this and how it's base 10 notation. It cuts over to the aliens and it zooms in on the guy's hands, showing that he's holding the bread and the cup with only his thumb and 2 of his fingers. It's like, these aliens only have 3 fingers on each hand. So
that's just stupid.
6.
No,
it's
that's just stupid.
So perfect. I like that.
Well, you might think about that.
Anyway, do you think so I also gave this one a 7. I thought it was all right. I like this pretty good. But do you think that it's a sign towards cancellation that aliens have been revealed in chapter 19?
Why is it 19 that significant?
No, it's just I feel like it's fairly early. He hasn't really defeated any.
Oh, yeah. That's a sign.
Yet.
Yeah, that's a sign.
Yeah. And then they're like, by the way, here's the final boss beyond the smartphone holders.
The fact that one of them is a big boobed schoolgirl, at least she's assuming this form.
He's showing fan service for the already introduced cute girl.
Yes, those are signs for.
Please look at this manga
favorably.
Yeah.
I gave it 58 points because all things considered, it wasn't good. It was okay.
I didn't like it as much.
And I don't want to let myself get swayed.
I like seeing a guy figure out math, even though I'm not into math.
That's the only good thing. Everything, it's only on 2 pages. Everything else was not good.
I think you're just biased against the boy.
That too. That's a big
going on. We got Black Clover, chapter 38. Trouble on a foreign road. Yeah. Time for Wano arc begin. So apparently this new girl is quite popular.
Yami's sister.
Yeah, and she is revealed to be Yami's sister. And they do some talking in this where the shogun, what's his name, Ryuya?
Yeah, something like that.
Lord Ryuya. Then he tells Asta, who's asking himself about what's different between where I'm from and here. It's like, well, I'm the shogun. That means basically that I'm like the wizard king to you. And we use yojutsu, which is basically like magic. And to use yojutsu, we use yoryoku, which is basically like mana. And we use scrolls, which are basically like grimoires.
Yep.
So you have to. So he learns the new terms for this new area, and then they go on a walk. And I thought that was a pretty fun way to show off the new characters, because they talk about how, like Asta, Ryua does not. He can't. Huh?
He can't magic.
Yeah, he can't magic, just like Asta, but he can see things with his eye. So his eye is magical, even though he doesn't have any magical abilities. Then he can tell when stuff's happening. So the town gets attacked by some bandits, and he very quickly and casually moves some civilians out of the way right before a wall gets broken down. And the bad guys include a psycho knife flicker.
Yes,
we don't
of
have
course.
a picture of him. And they're threatening everyone, and then Ichika just owns them instantly. She does something to power up and become super strong, just hits them each one time, and they fly off and make big craters in the wall. Asta's like, wow, she got so much more powerful. And she's
so I wanted to ask
magic.
you, where he's looking at it and some dark stuff is happening with her. And I know that her brother is named Yami, which means darkness.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I don't know what his power is, but like, do they have darkness power or?
I don't remember what Yami's power is, because I've always seen him using a sword.
Ah, okay.
Chopping stuff apart. That's how I remember him. But I mainly remember for exuding darkness is Asta when he goes into the anti-magic devil mode. Kind of
maybe connected.
Yeah.
Other than that, I just wanted to point out that it's really unclear when Asta is getting the sparkly eyes, because in the first page that I had, he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then he gets the sparkle eyes. But then in the second one, it's way more appropriate, where he sees new stuff and is like,
So
"Wow,
I
look
think,
at all this stuff."
I think I've said before, I hate the way that his sparkle eyes are
Yes.
drawn. I like it way better in One Piece.
Yes.
But I think in this part, it's showing that he's a bit of a sub who likes strong women that talk down to
strong
him.
Women or mean women?
Mean women. He likes mean women. So he's very yeah. So that's why he's getting sparkly there. And then this is just, as you said, seeing all the new stuff. He's impressed.
Yeah. Finally, I wanted to say this is a nice chapter. Very standard. Here's a new place. Check it out.
Good introduction to a new zone. I like it.
Small bandits show up, defeat bandits. That's how you introduce somebody. It's super by the numbers.
The abilities
was nice
of a new character. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I gave it 66 points.
Okay, pretty good. Yeah, I said 7. Not far off. Good stuff. Next, we got Sakamoto Days.
Sakamoto Days. I mainly just want to. We can skip over the Japanese
because we don't like these looks anyway.
Yes, and also it's a repeat of the thing from earlier, where the author is drawing the characters in the super chibi, simplistic way.
They're going to become keychains.
Yes, and it's also reminiscent of the Hunter x Hunter volume covers with the spiders drawn that way.
Oh, I just looked it up, by the way. Yami's ability is indeed darkness. And the way he uses it with his sword is that he can absorb magic. Like, so other people's attacks, he just absorbs it with his sword. That's how he's strong, yeah.
なるほどな. I mainly on Sakamoto Days because this chapter is
Shin attacks. He followed Akira's path and still didn't win.
he kind of gets a good hit in.
You see her shaking a little bit, like she's been hit, but then
But
she
she
instantly
deflects
throws
him
him. Yeah.
completely, and that proves to her that, well, they made some progress, so I might as well tell them. She gives all of them a nice criticism, like constructive criticism, what they can do better.
She's a good teacher. She's great.
And then she reveals that, yes, indeed, the database is, as I said, the janitor himself.
Prophecy is true.
Prophecy is true. Maxie was right.
Thank you. Thank you. And then the janitor has a small talk with his grandson Amane, who then, like, both of them flex that they have extremely good memory.
Yes.
Amane doesn't really react
how
to
many
him
times.
Like,
yeah.
You would expect Amane to catch on that he's the database himself, but then he's just like resorting to, okay, I guess I might as well open the thing under the condition that they don't kill his grandfather.
Unfortunately,
anybody else, which is stupid like, because
he doesn't specifically say his grandfather, does he? Just says as long as you're always as long as you don't kill anybody, just
which doesn't make any sense. But
anybody. And they're like, little does he know. The one thing I wanted to note about that little discussion is that the janitor is like, I noticed you being chased by a cute teacher. And then he also says that he reveals that he recognized Sakamoto immediately.
Of course.
He's like, somehow that Sakamoto guy grew up to be a cute woman.
Anything's possible nowadays.
Anything's possible, that's true.
So basically, this 75% of everything that I said came true.
That's right. Just hasn't quite happened as fast.
Yeah.
You were right about it all.
Can you go one page behind? I want one more thing to say. It's extremely stupid that Shin is like, I'm not talented, and then he's
the mind reader is not talented.
While the mind reader, the one person in the whole cast who has like the best talent in the whole world, is like, I'm not talented. I need to get stronger. That's stupid. That's
I'm sure
really all I wanted to say about this chapter.
Physically talented, because like you said, there's some characters who have really high emotional intelligence. Some characters have really high physical intelligence, and Shin just feels like he's not as talented in that way as other people around him.
Anyway, so this was a fine chapter. Did stuff. 65 points.
Yeah, fine chapter.
Let's see what happens next.
Yeah. Next we got PPP.
PPPPP.
What happened in this one? Are they still in the blank sky that repeats for 8 pages?
Yeah, they are in the blank sky, but this is the chapter in which Lucky, who has awakened his ego, by the way, talks with the vision of his, which was brought to life by Sorachika's campanella.
Oh, his eyes are piano.
Yes, that's when the piano pupils happen when the Otogami family members get into the mode where they can.
Some stands in JoJo have eyes like that.
Yeah, basically. So he and his id tells him that throughout his life, he's only been listening to his super ego, and that he has to the super ego is the one thing that prevented him from reaching the genius of his siblings, because he's like, go to the next page.
Yeah.
He says I'm the you who always existed before you got taught to be nice to people.
Oh, okay.
Because you always had the talent to be a genius piano player, but then on the next page, he's like, you absorbed everything in the world, which is basically just like children's TV shows and stuff that's telling children to be nice.
Right.
And I gotta say, these examples, I'm kind of into it. I kind of like this.
Hey, this is what we were talking about with Ginka and Ryuna. This is Ryuna.
Yeah.
Only loving skill in piano, but not really knowing about what's nice. So Ryuna needs to go and watch some cute anime.
Yeah, children's
she'll learn how to be a true hero.
It's really basic bitch, Carl Jung, ego, super ego, and no way, that's Freud. Either way, it's that thing.
One of those
The
guys. Yeah.
basic bitch psychology thing where you have three wolves inside you and they are fighting all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you learned to be nice, and that's what's keeping you from being a genius piano player, because you have you need to have the drive to just do what's in your nature. You have to do the one thing that you are made for. And when you learn that when you learn that you can do stuff for other people that hinders you, and that's basically it. He's like, you have to come to terms with all of the stuff that's inside you. And lucky first, like, I killed my previous self. I'm now awakened, but he's like, no, you have to awaken more. You can't just kill that
Where
part.
will this journey lead him?
Hopefully to the end of the series.
Yeah,
I get it wasn't
seems very
shit,
fast paced. You said it's basic, but I'm like, I kind of like that internal dialogue going.
Yeah, but that's because I summarized it. In reality, it's
Did
on
it
the
drag
level
on
of
in the actual chapter? Is it
No, it's
19
on the-
pages? That could just be summed up into.
Yes, but it's I'm 14 and I'm and this is deep, because this is like anybody who
he is 14, isn't he?
That's
fine.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, I gave it 58 points because it wasn't shit, it was okay. But I've seen so many people who were like, this is amazing, this is the best chapter of the week.
Yeah, because
like,
they're 14.
Just like these children have never read or watched any other piece of fiction in their whole life.
This is their entry point to that, so that's fine. Going on, we got Roboco. So you highlighted this very good page where it's the
only good page. Everything else was bad.
Of low power Roboco, because this is about training and Roboco, where she goes into the mountains to train, and other than this page, this is
everything else was bad.
This disappointingly boring.
This is the only saving grace of the whole chapter.
I wrote down training arc is not bad, but I didn't laugh. Because I didn't laugh. The main gag in it is at the end of her training, she trains with Tendi's senpai as if she's a Twitch streamer.
Who just comes out. He just comes out of nowhere. Nobody knows who this character is.
I think it's just her imagination. She's training so
the lion reacts
to be able to eat the Family Mart tendies. Is the lion even a real character, or is he also just in her imagination?
He exists.
Okay, yeah. Well,
that's
either way, I didn't laugh. I'm laughing now thinking about it, but when I was reading it, no.
This might as well be product placement again, because Family Mart is a real thing.
Yeah, it says Family Mart right there. Yeah.
I mean, it is the name of the...
Before, I think in all previous chapters we'd praised the product placement, but this time it's not.
It's getting too far.
Yeah, how do you rate this one? It gets a 5 for me. I was not super excited, but I do like low power Roboco.
If this page hadn't happened, I would also be in the 5 range, but I'm on 64.
Okay.
Because, bless you.
Yes. And going on, probably another thing that just has one good page for me. It's Witch Watch, which I usually say this is so good when it's not main plot. Yes. But this was no main plot. This is just slice of life, and it's the most boring Witch Watch chapter ever. It's chapter 77, Hamazaki Fall Bread Festival, and the entire chapter is just them doing bread puns.
Yes.
So the premise is this girl wants to know if this guy who she likes her back, because he's always getting bread from the shop that she works at. It's her family shop, right? Yeah, it's her family shop. And I really like her uniform.
To figure that out, Nico uses a magic spell that transforms his mind into it replicates
so I had a problem with that to begin with, because
doll.
when they bring up her problem, first of all, when they bring her up, they're like, remember her? And I'm like, no, I don't. And then they bring up her problem, and Nico literally says, oh, I've had this problem, and I've already tried several magic spells to try to figure out what a guy thinks.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't even try any of those.
No, she
goes
tries
straight-
something new.
Yeah, straight to a new one that's much dumber, and she should know, which is that you get a piece of his hair and you put it on some food, and she explains
To a
back in
voodoo
the
doll,
day they would
basically.
use human-shaped vegetables, but now we're going to
Basically
use
voodoo.
bread. Yeah.
And
so
the
they're doing
bread
voodoo, and the
will
bread
then
will answer
replicate.
with
Yes.
his thoughts, because with the hair in it, it's now connected to his soul or something. So
But the problem
So
is that the
ask the
bread
bread.
can only speak in bread words.
bread
So
puns, yes. The entire thing is Japanese bread puns that must have been such a pain in the ass to translate.
yes.
And then the resultant chapter, maybe it was funny in Japanese for people who love puns, but it was so boring for me. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I was not good. Even
And then
in
at the end, they
Japanese,
don't
it's
even get
kinda-
together.
Yeah, because it turns out he already had a very cute girl.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
At least he already had a
At
cutie
least he's
by his
happy.
side.
That's right.
So really, I didn't really like this chapter. It's a
I
little
didn't
bit
like
better
it
in
at
Japanese,
all.
but the puns weren't really as good. So that's why I gave it 60 points, and that's very
That's more generous. So I think
generous because I like Witch Watch.
Okay, yeah, I like Witch Watch too, but I like Witch Watch because it makes me laugh. This chapter, I guess I like her uniform. It's
So
pretty
you're
cool.
like
And then-
you're
The rest of it, I was just so disappointed. I was like, this is the worst chapter to me.
you're Gold
Because of
Roger
that.
right now. He
Yeah,
didn't laugh.
exactly. I didn't laugh. Yeah. Like it's a 4 out of 10 for me. I was very unhappy.
Yes,
Going on. Something else I was also very unhappy with.
it's
It's
alien.
Aliens area. Yeah.
They do the thing where they're like, we thought it was aliens, but it's actually
And it's
not.
not aliens. I'm not saying it was humans, but it was humans.
So in this chapter, Sharaku calls in a meeting of all of the Men in Black
roll
leaders
call.
in order
Roll call for all the real Men in Black.
to
Since
vote
previously,
on a
Sharaku is
general
always wearing a white suit.
mobilization against A3, the terrorist organization, due to
Yes.
the recent discoveries from Akina's murder in Akane-banashi. And
And how are any of them saying no?
yes, this
I don't
whole
understand that.
thing, like besides the point,
Especially one guy who says no, it's because his team had been killed by A3.
yeah,
And
He's
he's
a
like,
burnt
no,
child.
I don't want to risk it. And I'm like, that is not a reason to say you're against a general
Yes.
mobilization. That would be a reason to say, I don't want to put my specific team on this assignment, but I would vote to do it. You'd think he'd
Yes.
be like, yes, this needs to be done because they are very dangerous, but I am personally compromised because of my experience with them, so I cannot work on it. But everyone
Yes.
else, you really should do it. Whereas the way it is now, it sounds like he's saying, yeah, just ignore it. Let them do whatever. They killed all my friends, but I don't want to deal with them anymore.
this whole
sucks.
thing, voting like a government organization, voting democratically if they want to stop the terrorists or not, it really puts the morality of the series into question.
Yeah. I mean,
I think this
they've
is very,
previously
very
talked
bad.
about, they've had a couple chapters before where they talk about how what the Men in Black, Section 5 is they're called? What are they called?
Let's call them Men
They've
in Black.
talked, yeah, the Men in Black. They talked about how, oh, they're not actually that good. But this is like, every time I'm like, this is making them so stupid. The first chapter, I was kind of excited for Tatsumi to join them. And now I'm like, why did you join these idiots? They're making them too dumb. I don't like it.
You could argue that this is a criticism of real life police in Japan, which might
I
as
still
well
don't
be.
like it.
Yeah, I
It's-
don't like it.
It's too stupid. Real
And-
police are not. There's no real police department that is quite this stupid.
Maybe Japan is just stupid, but besides that, all of this has two signs of cancellation, which is one, roll call,
Big roll call. Yeah.
late
two.
roll call specifically. If
Yes,
a
yes,
roll
yes.
call should have happened earlier and it happens very late, that's a sign of cancellation. Like grasping at straws of, oh no, I have to make it more interesting. Then
Yeah.
the second thing is Oh, by the way, we have info on Tatsumi's
Your
parents, why they are dead.
They were part of A3.
And that's
So that was the reason you got the implant, because your parents' connection. It wasn't random after all.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was humans.
It was humans who may have alien technology with them.
So
Yeah,
that
so I
was
didn't like it.
really stupid.
Yeah. I would
Maybe
say I would say it doesn't piss me off quite as much as last week.
Mhm.
It really pissed me off.
Yeah.
This also
I
gets a
was
4 out of 10. I don't
probably
like
too
it.
lenient by saying it's 56 points, but
Yes, you're too
overall,
lenient by saying it's 56 points. This is a
overall,
below 50 chapter.
might as well be, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I liked almost everything in this issue of Jump, and that's why I'm a little bit more lenient.
Yeah.
Made me happier.
Anyway, on that note, I actually got to go now. So we'll have to talk about the
Aw.
comments on another day.
I only
Yeah.
have very few things to say about the comments anyway,
Yeah.
which is
All right. Well, yeah, we'll cover them later.
no. Can I say really quick?
Oh, you're really fast. Okay, 1
It's
minute. Tell me
extremely
the
fast.
comments.
Okay, Kohari Horikoshi of My Hero Academia is embracing Rob Liefeld's noble example of like more pouches. I need more.
Yeah.
And Elusive Samurai's Yusei Matsui is based because he hates Apple now. Roboco's Shuhei Miyazaki is being very relatable right now because he says his butt exploded.
Oh no.
Then Tokyo Demon Bride Stories Tadaichi Nakama continues alluding to impending dental disaster by saying
All the cola.
And
Wow.
both Yuki Tabata and Black Clover from Black Clover and Yoshifumi told
So much dental work. Everyone's getting dental work.
yes, they get dental work. Why is it so much about
I don't know. Yeah, Undead Unluck guy has a problem with the molar. Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out later. Our dentistry arc